Hey guys, this is Preston from The Drunk Millionaire. Today I want to show you how I built this shelving unit to store kids' toys. If you're like me, a lot of our toys were scattered around the living room. It was hard to walk around in and we needed a way to organize the baby's toys. So I designed this shelf to basically hold these baskets that my wife bought from Target. They help us store all of our baby's toys and reduce clutter. All in all, this project cost $50 worth of material, and the cheapest similar unit I could find on Wayfair or online sites was about $300 to $400 for a piece of furniture like this. So it was just a way for me to save a couple $100 and get to spend time in the shed doing some woodworking. So this is how I initially laid out this project. I laid out 4 of these baskets in a row to figure out how wide it needed to be, and then I built according to that. I based this design off of a TV stand that I finished a couple weeks ago using the same idea of storage cubbies for kids' toys. Alright, here I am ripping the initial 3/4 inch plywood. This is the nicer plywood from Lowe's. It costs just under $50. And rather than use a table saw for a big sheet of plywood, I used a straight edge and this circular saw to make the initial cuts. Here I am doing the initial dry fit test to make sure that the boxes fit okay, height-wise and width-wise. My next step was to use a straight edge with a router with a 3/4 inch bit to cut dados into the sides of the cabinet. These dados allowed me to fit the pieces into the slots as a form of joinery rather than using a Craig jig or anything like that. Here I am dry fit testing the sides again now that these slots are cut, the dados, just making sure everything lines up and fits okay. Now that I've dry fit tested everything and it all fits well, I disassemble and get everything prepped for the glue up. I added some nails for some extra stability from the nail gun here. Here I'm adding another piece to the top of the storage area so that I can add 1.5 inch banding around the top for decoration. Rather than add a full piece of plywood on the bottom, I just cut some strips to use around the edges since it's the bottom and no one's going to see it anyway. The legs are really nothing fancy. Here I just added some glue to the legs and then I'm screwing up from the bottom. They're about 1.5 inch square chunks that I cut to be about 1.5 to 2 inches off the ground, just to separate the piece of furniture from the ground a little bit. Here I'm adding the 1.5 inch banding for decoration along the bottom. Later in the video I decided to come back and put a finishing decorative router bit roundover on this bottom side. And then now I'm flipping it over to the top where I'll add the top piece of banding for decoration as well. You can kind of see it here, but I added a decorative finish to the bottom part of this trim piece using a router bit. Here I'm adding the adhesive edge banding for 3/4 inch plywood. It just gives the front of this piece of furniture a much nicer look. So I'm gluing it on first, and then I come back with the iron, heat it up, and then add pressure to it to give it a nice finish. I added a link to this edge banding on Amazon in the notes below. Here I'm doing a glue up for the piece of plywood that I'm adding to the back of the piece of furniture. This is an 1/8 inch sheet that I cut down to fit this piece of furniture exactly. This adds a lot of stability and just makes the piece look nice. The final step is to paint it up. So I just bought a cheap can of paint from Lowe's and spent about an hour putting a couple coats of paint on this piece of furniture to wrap it up. Well guys, thanks for watching this how-to video. If you're interested in the plans, check out my website in the link below, thedrunkenmillionaire.com. I've posted the plans for sale if you're interested in building a similar storage unit for children's toys or anything. Alright, thanks. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to stay in the loop with other building projects or other videos that I create, and we'll talk to you soon.